Now let's see about fourth unit of advanced Java programming. Fourth unit is Java database connectivity. This unit contains presentation to JDBC connection, the concept of JDBC, JDBC driver types, JDBC packages, a brief overview of the JDBC process, database connection, associating the JDBC ODBC bridges with the database, statements, object, result set. Now let's see about one by one. First, JDBC connection settings. There are five steps to connect any Java applications with the database using JDBC. These steps are some steps follows. First one, register the driver class, create connection, create statement, execute query, close connections. Now, Java database connectivity is a representational diagrammatic representations. Register driver, get connection, create statement, execute query, and close connections. First one, register the driver class. The for name method of class is used to register the driver class. This method is used to dynamically load the driver class. Syntax of for name method, public static for name, string class name throws class not found exception. Create the connection object. The get connection method of driver manager class is used to establish connection with the database. Syntax of get connection method, public static connection, get connection of string URL throws SQL exception. Second one, public static connection, get connection, string URL, string name, string password through SQL exceptions. Create the statement object. The create statement method of connection interface is used to create statement. The object of the statement is responsible to execute queries with the database. Syntax of create statement method, public statement, create statement throws SQL exception. Execute query, the execute query method of statement interface is used to execute queries to the database. This method returns the object of result set that can be used to get all the records of a table. Syntax of execute query method, public result set execute query string SQL throws SQL exception. Close the connection object. By closing connection object statement and the result set will be closed automatically. The close method of connection interface is used to close the connections. Syntax of close method, public void close throws SQL exceptions. Next one, the concept of JDBC. JDBC is an abbreviation for the term Java Database Connection. JDBC is a software tool, also known as an application programming interface, that establishes a connection between a standard database and Java applications that intends to use that database. But we can use JDBC API to access tabular data stored in any relational database. By the help of JDBC API, we can save, update, delete, and fetch data from the database. It is like open database connectivity provided by Microsoft. Needs for Java JDBC. JDBC is used for multiple applications to connect the various types of data storage units that are both standards and advanced. We need JDBC for the following purpose. For establishing stable database connectivity with the application API. Next one, to execute SQL queries and DDL DML commands for viewing modify data records in the data storage units. So these were the places and the purpose for which we need a JDBC connection. We will learn the data types support in SQL and the compatibility with Java over JDBC. This is a diagrammatic representation of JDBC and data flow diagram. JDBC API and Java applications data move to JDBC driver, then data move to the database or JDBC API through. It is next one, Java JDBC architecture. The Java JDBC architecture consists of the some primary segments. What are the primary segments like JDBC applications, JDBC API, JDBC manager, JDBC drivers, and data storage units. This diagrammatic shows the diagram or the JDBC architectures. The diagram shows applications data move to JDBC API, then move to JDBC manager, then move to JDBC driver, then move to the database like Oracle database, SQL database, and whatever we source, whatever it we use the backend applications, the data I use the storing purpose. DBC applications, the JDBC applications is in the topmost position of the JDBC architecture. JDBC application is the data processing applications that intends to access the data from the different storage units. JDBC API plays significant in the JDBC architecture. The JDBC API ensure that a stable connections is established between the data storage unit and the JDBC applications. JDBC manager, the JDBC manager takes care of selecting the appropriate driver manager to ensure that the driver software chosen support the storage data storage units recommends to offer on uninterpreted connections. JDBC drivers, the JDBC driver is uh, the JDBC driver is the crucial units in the JDBC connections. JDBC connections. The JDBC driver is the crucial unit in the JDBC architecture. JDBC driver is the first layer of the JDBC architectures that has direct contact with the data storage unit. A list of popular interface of JDBC API. What are the popular interface? Driver interface, connection interface, statement interface, report statement interface, callable statement interface, result set interface, result set metadata interface, data set metadata interface, row set interface. Some list of popular classes of JDBC API. For example, a driver manager class, blob class, globe class, types class. We can use JDBC API to handle database using Java program and can perform the following activities. Connect to the database, execute queries and update the statements to the database, retrieve the result received from the database. API, application programming interface. API is a document that contains your descriptions of all the features of your product or software. It represents classes and interface that software programs can follow to communicate with each other. An API can be created for applications, libraries, operating system, and etc. Next, what are the steps to connect Java JDBC? There are some crucial steps to be followed to establish the JDBC connections and process the data. What are the steps followed? Like import package dependencies, load and register the driver, connect to the database, frame query, execute query, process result, close statement, and close connections. These steps are followed to connect the Java database. Java database connectivity is an application programming interface which allows the programmer to connect and interact with the database. It provides methods to query and update the data in the database through update statements like SQL create, update, delete, and insert, and query statements such as select. Additionally, JDBC can run stored procedure. Next, JDBC driver types. JDBC drivers are client-side adapter that convert requests from Java programs to a protocol that the DBMS can understand. There are four types of JDBC drivers there. Type 1 driver or JDBC ODBC bridge driver. Type 2 driver or native API driver. Type 3 driver or network protocol driver. Type 4 driver or thin driver. Types of JDBC architecture. The JDBC architecture consists of two-tier and three-tier processing models to access a database. They are as some two-tier models. Two-tier models, a Java application communicates directly to the data source. The JDBC driver enables the communication between the application and the data source. When a user sends a query to the data source, the answers for those queries are sent back to the user in the form of results. The data source can be located on a different machines on a network to which a user is connected. This is known as client or server configurations, where the user machines act as a client and the machine has the data source running act as the server. Three-tier model. In this, the user's queries are sent to middle-tier services from which the commands are again sent to the data source. The results are sent back to the middle tier and from the to the user. And this type of model is found very useful by management information system directors. Interface of JDBC API. In terms of JDBC API, a list of popular interface JDBC APIs are some first like a driver interface, connection interface, statement interface, report statement interface, callable statement interface, result set interface, result set metadata interface, database metadata interface, row set interface. Next thing, next topic we will move to JDBC packages. JDBC API is contained in two packages, java.sql and javax.sql. Java.sql contains core JDBC interfaces that provide the basics for connecting to the DBMS and interacting with the data stored in the DBMS. That java.sql is part of the J2SE. Java X.SQL is the JDBC interface that interact with Java naming and a directory interface and manages connection pooling among other advanced JDBC features. Java.SQL driver, Java.SQL connections, Java.SQL.statement, Java.SQL.report statement, Java.SQL.callable statement, Java.SQL.result set, Java.SQL.result set metadata, Java.SQL.database metadata. Next topic, we will move to a brief overview of the JDBC process. JDBC API, a standard interface for interacting with any related database management systems. JDBC API consists of the following main components. JDBC driver, connection, statement, and result set. JDBC driver, JDBC driver is a set of Java classes that implements JDBC interface for interacting with a specific database. Almost all database vendors, such as MySQL, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, provide JDBC drivers. For example, MySQL provides a JDBC driver called MySQL Connections or that allows we to work with the MySQL database through a standard JDBC API. There are three types of JDBC drivers: JDBC native API driver, JDBC net driver, and a JDBC driver. Next one, connection. The first and the most important component of JDBC is the connection object. In the Java applications, we first load a JDBC driver and then establish a connection to the database. Through the connection object, we can interact with the database. For example, creating a statement to execute SQL queries against tables. We can open more than one connection to a database at a time. Statement to execute a SQL query, for example, select, insert, update, delete, and etc. We use the statement object. We create the statement object through the connection object. JDBC provides several types of statements for different purpose, such as prepared statement, callable statement. Next one, result set. After querying data from the database, we get a result set object. The result set object provides a set of API that allows we to traverse a result of the query. The typical flow of using JDBC has some follow the steps. First, load the JDBC driver and create a connection to the database. Then create a statement and execute the query to get a result. Next, traverse and process the result set. Close the result set statement and connections. Next thing, database connections. JDBC is a standard uh, API specification developed in order to move data from front end to the back end. The steps for connectivity between Java program and database: import packages, load the driver using the for name method, register the driver using driver manager, establish a connection using the connection class object, create a statement, execute query, and close the connections. Next, step one, import the packages. Step two, load the drivers. In order to begin with, we first needed to load the driver, register it before using it in the program. Registration is to be done once in a program. We can register a driver in one of two ways mentioned below us. Uh, a class dot for name. Here we load the driver class file into memory at the runtime. No need of using new or create object. The following example user class dot for name to load the Oracle driver as on some class dot for name double quote using double within double quote Oracle dot JDBC dot driver dot Oracle driver. This is mentioned the which database connection to the mentioned the here. Next one, driver manager dot register driver. Driver manager is a Java inbuilt class with a static member register. Here we call the constructor of the driver class at compile time. The following example driver uses driver manager dot register driver to register the Oracle driver as shown below. Driver manager dot register driver bracket open bracket new Oracle dot JDBC dot driver dot Oracle driver. Step 3, establish a connection using the connection class object. After loading the driver, establish a connection as shown below as follows. Connection class CONS object is equal to driver manager dot get connections of URL, user, and passwords. The username from which we use the SQL command prompt can be accessed. Password from the which the SQL command prompt can be accessed. Connect CON, it is a reference to the connection interface. URL, uniform resource locators. Step 4, create statement. Once a connection is established, we can interact with the database. The JDBC statement, callable statement, and the report statement interface define the methods that enable me to send SQL commands and receive data from your database. Use of JDBC statement as follows: statement list is equal to C1 dot create statement method. Step 5, execute query. Now comes with most important part, that is executing the query. The query here is on SQL query. Now we know we can have multiple types of queries. Some of the are as follows: the query for updating or inserting a table in database, the query for returning data. The execute query method of the statement interface is used to execute queries of receiving values from the database. And this method returns the object of result set that can be used to get all the records of a table. And the execute query method of the statement interface is used to execute queries of updating or inserting. Step 6, close the connection. Finally, we have sent the data to that specified locations, and now we are on the verge of completing our task. By closing the connections, object of statement and the result set will be closed automatically. The close method of connections interface is used to close the connection. That is one close con dot close. This is the connections close. This one is a connection object. Now we'll move to associating the JDBC or ODBC bridges with the database. This is the diagrammatic representations, JDBC architecture with JDBC ODBC bridge driver, Java applications, JDBC API, JDBC driver managers, JDBC ODBC bridge driver, ODBC driver, access driver, and using SQL like MS SQL database or MS Access databases. Now, JDBC ODBC bridge drivers was developed, which translates the JDBC API to the ODBC API and vice versa. These bridges act as a interface that enables all DBMS which support ODBC, that means Open Database Connectivity, to interact with the Java applications. JDBC ODBC bridges is implemented as a class file and a native library. The name of the class file is JDBC ODBC.class. On a window platform, native library called JDBC ODBC.dll is used. The JDBC ODBC bridges allows application written in the Java programming language to use the JDBC API with many existing ODBC driver. The bridge is itself a driver based on JDBC technology that is defined in the class, uh, like use the which database using the mention the class name. The bridge defines the JDBC sub protocol ODBC. Status of the JDBC ODBC bridges. The JDBC ODBC bridges should be considered a transitional solutions. It will be removed in JDK. In addition, Oracle does not support the JDBC ODBC bridges. Oracle recommends that we use the JDBC drivers provided by the vendor of our database instead of the JDBC ODBC bridges. Next thing, statement object. Uh, Java provides different types of interface to the user in which the Java languages provides JDBC statements. Normally, A JDBC statement is used to execute the different queries of the database. In other words, we can say that a JDBC statement is bunch of result set, and we can use it as a method to get the desired object of the result set. Uh, in a JDBC statement, first we need to connect with the database. After successfully making the connections, we can execute the different JDBC statements with the database, such as callable statement and report statement as per user requirements. First one, creating statement object. Basically, creating statement object is used to execute the different SQL statements as per user requirements. In this statement, we establish the connection objects by using the create statement method. We use the create statement method to establish the connection with the database. Then we can perform the different SQL statements as per the user requirements listed. That means Boolean string SQL statement, execute update string SQL statement, execute query result string SQL statement, closing statement object. Okay. Next one, report statement. This statement is used to recompile the statement. So that recompile statement we can execute multiple times as per user requirements. Basically, the report statement uses the SQL statement. Next one, execute the this execute method, execute query, and execute update method. Third one, callable statement. First one, report statement. First one, execute update query and execute statement, creating statement object. Second one, report statement. The third one, callable statement. Second, some report statements they have execute query, execute update. Execute method basically this is used to execute the static SQL statement that is available in the report statement object, as well as it also return the Boolean values. Exit query method it is used to return the result set from the current report statement that is available. Execute update. This method returns the number of columns influenced by the DML explanation, like insert, delete, and more that is available in the current report statement. Next one, callable statement. It is utilized to put away technique which are gathering of articulations that we aggregate in the information basic for some undertaking. They are helpful when we are managing numerous tables with complex situations, and as opposed to sending various questions to the data set, we can send the necessary informations to the put away method and lower the rational executed in the data set work itself. Next, they will move to result set. The SQL statement that the read data from a database query, return the data in result set. The select statement is the standard way to select a rows from a database and view them in result set. The java.sql.result set interface represents the result set of database query. A result set object maintains a cursor that points to the current row in the result set. The term result set refers to the rows and the columns data contained in a result set object. The method of the result set interface can be broken down into three categories: navigational method, get method, and update method. Navigational method is used to move the cursor around. Get method is used to view the data in the column of the current row being pointed by the cursor. Update method is to update the data in column of the current row. The update can then be updated in the underlying database as well. The cursor is movable based on the properties of the result set. These properties are designed when the corresponding statements that generates the result set is created. JDBC provides the following connections method to create with the desired result set. Create statement, report statement, and prepare call. Create elements. The first argument indicates the type of result set object, and the second argument is one of the two results constraints for specify whether a result set is read only or updatable. Next one, types of result set. The possible RS type, the result set type are given below. The if you don't specify any result set type, we will automatically get one that is type forward only. Type result set type result set dot type underscore forward underscore only, and the cursor can only move forward in the result set dot type scroll underscore incentive, and the cursor can scroll forward and backward, and the result set is not sensitive to changes made by other to the database that occur after the result set was created. Result set dot type scroll underscore sensitive. The cursor can scroll forward and backward, and the result set is sensitive to change as made by other to the database that occur after the result set was created. Thank you.